21 million barrels of crude oil pass through a single corridor daily, representing 1/5 of global consumption. If the Strait of Hormuz falls, the industrial world halts within 72 hours. Spanning just 39 kilometers between Iran and the Muzandam Peninsula, this shallow constriction forms the ultimate economic choke point. The crisis detonates as fast attack craft deploy acoustic mines across commercial lanes, trapping loaded supertankers inside the Persian Gulf. Heavy coastal anti-ship missile batteries target navigation channels from fortified mountain silos. Maritime insurers immediately cancel war risk coverage, freezing global tanker fleets in place. Brent crude futures experience an unprecedented price shock, triggering panic across Wall Street and Asian industrial hubs. Coastal radar arrays track paralyzed merchant vessels anchoring across the Gulf of Oman, while automated refineries warn of critical supply shortfalls. Strategic outposts on Abu Musa and the Tunba Islands activate anti-air exclusion domes over the waterway, while emergency distress frequencies fill with urgent alerts. As bathymetric sonar scans confirm dense fields of moored bottom mines, satellites document complete containment of the strait. Day zero concludes with the global energy artery severed, forcing U.S. carrier strike groups to deploy toward the Arabian Sea. At Naval Support Activity Bahrain, Fifth Fleet operations transition to emergency footing as adversaries deploy swarms of uncrewed surface vessels in coordinated strike wedges. Mobile coastal launchers fire high-altitude anti-ship ballistic missiles on steep trajectories, prompting Allied Aegis destroyers to form defensive picket lines across the Gulf of Oman. Subsea acoustic listening arrays transmit contact signatures to shore stations, while airborne mine countermeasures helicopters deploy magnetic sweep gear through contested waterways. Long-range early warning radars sweep across the Persian Gulf, while fast patrol craft establish screening corridors to protect high-value units. Widespread GPS jamming blinds commercial satellite navigation across the upper Gulf as silent midget submarines lurk along shallow seabed trenches. Combat air patrols maintain continuous orbits, coordinating with Aegis warships firing interceptor salvos against incoming wave-skimming cruise missiles. Multi-barrel rocket batteries harass maritime transit lanes, severely straining shipboard munition magazines during high-intensity engagements. Mine clearance units steadily advance along narrow, sweeping corridors, using active chaff and infrared decoy clouds to divert radar-guided threats. Omani coastal radar outposts track critical choke point movements, while overhead satellites feed real-time coordinates to Allied corvettes intercepting hostile boat swarms. Containerized coastal missile batteries maneuver along highways, forcing merchant convoys into protected holding anchorages. Daily maritime insurance rates surge to astronomical heights as Allied carrier air wings execute standoff jamming missions against coastal air defense networks. Week 1 concludes with operational fleet readiness heavily degraded, locking the Persian Gulf in a dangerous tactical stalemate. To bypass the blockade, Saudi Arabia redirects crude through the east-west petroline toward Yanbu, but its limited capacity cannot replace the massive daily flow of Hormuz. In the Emirates, the Habshan pipeline pumps maximum volume to the port of Fujairah, creating extreme tanker congestion offshore. At Ras Tanura, loading berths sit completely idle, forcing supertankers into long detours around the Cape of Good Hope with 18 days of added delay and surging fuel costs. East Asian manufacturing powerhouses face catastrophic deficits as natural gas spot prices explode worldwide. Along the American Gulf Coast, underground salt caverns discharge emergency petroleum reserves at peak capacity, Yet global inflation surges across major economies. Broken petrochemical supply lines trigger manufacturing shortages, while national emergency oil reserves rapidly drain towards zero. Warships escort redirected tankers across the Red Sea as international container freight rates surge 400%. Refineries reduce throughput due to missing heavy crude, while LNG carriers remain trapped behind minefields in northern waters. Economic risk models calculate severe vulnerability for developing nations, while regional overland fuel convoys face catastrophic border bottlenecks. International investors trigger a massive safe haven flight into the US dollar as Gulf electrical networks mandate emergency power rationing across manufacturing zones. Maritime underwriters designate the entire theater as an active war exclusion zone, while skyrocketing fertilizer prices directly threaten global food supply chains. A stark strategic balance sheet confirms emergency reserves cannot close the daily supply deficit, leaving global supply lines completely fractured by week 3. Carrier strike groups launch heavy strike packages, firing Tomahawk cruise missiles through coastal valleys. B-2 stealth bombers penetrate underground missile silos, neutralizing early warning radars across Kesham Island. EA-18G Growlers blind air defense networks with electronic jamming, triggering secondary explosions at coastal launch sites. Surface warships engage attack boat swarms with rapid gunfire, while shipboard lasers destroy incoming drone optics. Suppressed missile batteries enter emergency shutdown, allowing underwater drones to map acoustic minefields. Precision glide bombs devastate mountain bunkers, as destroyers establish close naval gunfire support. Aegis systems defeat multi-axis drone saturation attacks, recording heavy enemy attrition alongside massive munition expenditures. Hawkeye aircraft direct combat patrols over the Gulf, guiding strikes against drone assembly hubs. Special forces secure offshore platforms while CIWS mounts intercept sea-skimming missiles. Munition consumption rapidly outpaces factory production, yet Allied forces secure a narrow transit corridor. Aerial tankers extend carrier strike ranges, while Musandam radar posts maintain low-altitude tracking. A 30-day combat log documents intense kinetic exchanges, confirming degraded batteries amidst persistent asymmetric threats. Month 1 closes, shifting the war into a grueling naval clearance phase. Treacherous bathymetric currents complicate mine clearance across Hormuz, where underwater drones scan the seabed for buried explosives. Minesweepers advance along the southern channel, deploying robotic charges to detonate moored mines at safe standoffs. Clearance logs track progress through high-risk sectors, while patrol aircraft drop sonobuoy barriers to detect silent midget submarines. Strategic air corridors rush missile reloads across global logistics hubs, as advanced interceptor stockpiles plunge toward minimum thresholds. Forward dry docks in Bahrain execute emergency hull repairs, enabling armed escorts to guide test convoys through an 8-mile transit corridor. Coastal decoys emit false radar signals, yet coalition operating costs pale against mounting daily market losses. Uncrewed boats intercept drifting mines, while shipboard systems suffer extreme thermal fatigue. With strategic oil reserves draining to legal minimums, global political pressure demands immediate de-escalation. Fortified island radars continue emitting tracking pulses linked via automated intelligence networks. After 60 days of continuous combat, severe fleet wear and logistical bottlenecks lock naval forces in static pickets. With global GDP losses exceeding $1 trillion, mutual operational exhaustion forces both sides into back-channel Muscat diplomacy, ending month 2 in tactical deadlock. In Muscat, Diplomats finalized ceasefire protocols, establishing a demilitarized maritime transit corridor through the Strait of Hormuz. Heavy surface fleets withdraw 60 nautical miles into international waters, while coastal missile batteries pull back into inland garrisons. Commercial supertanker convoys safely resume transit through the Central Channel, monitored at joint cargo inspection stations in Fujairah and Muscat. Restructured energy agreements diversify global petroleum contracts, supported by permanent multinational naval liaison centers across Gulf capitals. New pipeline bypasses connect inland fields to open ocean ports, as regional defense budgets commit to permanent mine countermeasure fleets. Multinational task forces maintain rotational clearance patrols, accelerating terminal reconstruction across damaged loading berths. Global shipping volumes steadily recover, yet the severe cost imbalance between cheap mines and advanced interceptors permanently transforms narrow strait naval doctrine. The crisis proves how geographic chokepoints constrain carrier strike deterrence after a multi-trillion-dollar economic shock. As transit lanes stabilize and crude freight rates normalize, global supply networks adapt. The conflict highlights the enduring triad of energy chokepoints, coastal geography, and industrial stamina, proving that single chokepoints threaten total economic collapse. Multilateral naval presence and verified treaties remain the only foundation to secure open seas. The Strait of Hormuz lockdown, 2026 energy siege. The data proves the cost.